Dalton is Assistant Professor in Sociocultural Anthropology at the University of Latvia in Riga. He completed his doctoral studies at Durham University in Rhetoric and Personhood in Eastern Germany. Dita Vinovska holds a Master's of Humanities degree in Sociocultural Anthropology from the University of Latvia, having previously studied Transport Systems Engineering. She works as a journalist and has experience in media and public relations. Thank you very much.
I'll press the button here, hold on. Fingers crossed. Yeah. So, now, where do we start this particular event? Yeah, whereas I think we might look at lots of the things we've talked about today already as being somewhat cultural, in a sense that kind of cultural for their own kind of good. I think that this is something which is relatively commercial and really something which is relatively, well, about 12 years old in Latvia, but seems to have taken on quite an important following in terms of the population, something that gets talked about quite a lot. And it's one of these things that I think you'll see. I'm not Latvian, but Dita is Latvian. And when I first went to Latvia to live, I didn't know much about it. But within a couple of months, I first saw this we were going to talk about, and I was quite surprised. No less surprised than the first time I saw Krampus in Austria. So just because it's like, what is this thing going on? Like,
yeah, and also for me as Latvian, it was for the first time when I saw it was running maybe a year, and I started to study in Riga because I'm from a different region. And also for me, for the first time when I saw it, I didn't understand what it is, but everyone was talking about it. Like all my course mates knew it already, and they were talking, going there or not, and what to buy, and I was just like clueless what it is.
But it's something I think that's very hard to miss, which once one's in Riga, or in fact in Tallinn, or what's it called, Helsinki, or St. Petersburg, etc. But we're going to talk about, and that bag is from Tallinn, because I couldn't find a Riga one today, or at home, but yeah, these bags are something we'll talk about as well. They're relatively noticeable, and also quite useful for rubbish when the time comes, but and they're free, which is quite nice. But the first thing, I'm going to show you a very, very short little bit of clip. We couldn't make this clip ourselves, we had to borrow from YouTube. We'll talk about that in the methodology later, because there's a kind of problem with this stuff, and so I think this might work. Fingers crossed. You have to press the button. That's a little bit, that doesn't get much more exciting at this point. We'll show you some other bizarre stuff later on. But I'll talk about methodology first. This really came out of I was teaching, amongst other things, a course on anthropology of consumption, and this was something I was quite interested in when I saw it in Riga. The second year that I taught the course, I thought, I think we'll go and investigate this as a group. And well, I mean, it's kind of like, because it's just something I was really, really fascinated by, but I didn't think that I would get research money to do it, so let's go and get some learners in, but very, very good. And Dita was one of those people. So what we really kind of like couldn't really ask very many questions about the campaign, because we tried to kind of say no cooperation from Stockmann. We tried to ask if we would be allowed to interview people in the shop or talk to people, take photographs, etc. And they said no, because it would didn't want to upset the kind of privacy of their customers. So that was quite strange, given the place is full of CCTV cameras, and so that G4S would have probably thrown us out. Not my favourite company in the world, let's just say. They kind of are quite strict, and there's quite a heavy strictness of security in Stockmann. We'll talk about that later on too. So instead what we did was we conducted kind of observations. This has taken a number of years. We have to go, this happens twice a year, kind of bookends summer, not summer, kind of bookends winter. Because, I mean, well, the winter lasts longer in the Baltic states, so it's a bit, I think it snowed last night in Riga, so, and so we had to kind of go and kind of undercover, and we did some interviews as well. with former staff members, etc. And it turns out even some of our former students were staff members. So here's the next slide.
Yeah, I wanted to add on the methodology about it. There were no questions about what it is, because when I started to study, it was in Riga, it was 2006. And the campaign first time was held in 2005, but now when we did the research, the situation had changed, and everyone already knew what the campaign is, and also our informants, like you can, like also outside the Riga, people are going by train to and by bus and by car just to participate in the campaign.
What you kind of see here is that suddenly, we'll talk about it when I show you what the store is normally like, but suddenly we have kind of figures which appear on the store itself, and this kind of bright yellow colour appears everywhere. So there's the quote, who does not know that there are crazy days, they're called Trakās dienas in Latvia. But living in Riga, everybody knows, and this is a kind of student who tells us. So this is, I think, it's not a very bright looking day, it's quite a kind of dull Baltic kind of wintry, not that wintry scene, but it could be wintry scene. And so suddenly, this is not really what the store looks like normally. Now, one of the things that kind of appears first, this is another little clip that we managed to find. That's an awful lot of things. But if you kind of look at, and it actually brings back very bad memories of the Trakās days as well, because it's very much, I think, a sensory experience. The first time I went, I was kind of like, I didn't actually know what was going to take place, because although I could have had, if I'd signed up for a card at the time, one does get in one's letterbox. No, that's the wrong one. Such lovely brochures telling you what to buy, and it's kind of it tells you which day to go and buy stuff. And so it made something that, these get all over the place as well. The buys go all over the place. There's lots and lots of stuff. This is quite heavily advertised. I think you kind of saw in the little bit of film, the fact that there are these kind of things, which actually really, in kind of a sense, are almost, can we call them mummers really? They're dressed up in yellow costumes. They are kind of masked figures. I remember one day in Tallinn going to visit a friend, and there was a playground which was full of these yellow characters just sitting, and I thought, would that not terrify the children if they didn't know this was a commercial event? So I mean, you can kind of wander around Riga, and these people will hand you random bits of paper, and it's a bit weird.
Yeah, and about the transformation, I don't know, can I call it event or festival? It really, like, one of the main slogans of the campaign is Stockmann is changing. Stockmann, the department store, and that's how it usually looks like. All the kind of the posters are calm and I don't know, like they are not dragging too much attention. And but during the campaign, like it is that everything changes. Usually, if you go into Stockmann, it's not full of people. It's quiet and calm. They have some calm music in the background, and it's kind of luxury store where to.
It's very expensive.
Yeah, where to buy things, and so yeah, it really does change from outside and also from inside. But about that, Gareth is going to.
Yeah, so I think really what kind of makes the Trakās is quite different is Dita says it's quite inexpensive, or it's quite a place of relative luxury and exquisiteness. Though I think I really don't like the place. I have to go to it because if I want to get beef, which I don't, I couldn't really go off. I wish they had corn, but they don't have it. So it's going to open. It becomes this thing open to everybody. They start to sell they have tents outside where they start to sell lots of toilet rolls, etc. And so there's a kind of almost a special inversion inside the store, and so it kind of attracts a different kind of clientele at the time. I remember seeing some old ladies who didn't look very, let's say, affluent, fighting over some vodka kick. You know what that is, VK. And I found myself and Tesco value shortbread piled up, where these things normally are very, very expensive. So inside, I think this what I found as well, I mean, and the staff said themselves, they can work in it all day and they don't really feel very much. But once you go in, you have no idea, the time doesn't really, everything is so kind of like, people are pushed together, they're kind of stuck together, there's lots of jostling, and there's really, really strange music, which I think is called, it's like swing music, but the one that has it's the kind of techno swing music. And it goes on really, really quite a lot, and it's just quite kind of carnivalesque compared to the Stockmann, and it's really dull music. So this kind of separation between high states and low states is kind of turned around, it doesn't exist. And Stockmann doesn't really feel like Stockmann, and internally there's lots more barriers. You can't, it's a far, and there's much more, I think, stressfulness. And some of the students wouldn't go to Stockmann. And during this thing, they said, "Do we have to?" It's like, "Oh, please, go." But they did eventually to get their grades. But yeah, okay. So are the rules gone in this kind of ternarian versions? I suggest it might be.
Yeah, it makes an image. The rules of Stockmann that are usually there are gone. But when you look deeper into it, it's not. And there is a sense of controlled danger. Like by the ghost and the music, everything feels weird, and as Gareth said, it's like sensory, and you feel confused inside. And
the staff dress up in yellow and black, fancy dress. There's a competition for the staff, and the staff are normally sullen and dull and won't help you. Suddenly they're all smiling away as if they're enjoying themselves. No, I mean seriously, like Latvia customer service is great. Then there's the thieves. Kind of Dita found out that there's a great fear that all these kind of like ne'er-do-wells are going to come and try to steal. And apparently there's quite a lot of stealing goes on during the Trakās dienas because it is so kind of. Although I don't think it's really as bad as they make it out to be.
Yeah, but it is like that. That also that every employee controls the security. Usually the employees, they just do their job. They just tell stuff and tell about the stuff and explain. Just consult clients and G4S do their job. But this is the only time salespeople had to check out for thieves. And what I found also on Facebook, there were just some people writing about that they were witnessing some pickpocketing, and the person who was pickpocketing was come to Stockmann from abroad, just for the for the campaign. And yeah, that was weird. And also the controlled number of people in the food section. It's like you can't enter the food section without a basket. They don't allow, even if you say that usually you can go in the store without a basket. If you just are buying few stuff, it's no one will tell you to take a basket. There they ask, and you have to queue to enter the food section and wait for the baskets because the number of them is limited, and that's how they we figured out that that's one of the ways how they control the
because I think
number of people there.
There's a kind of sense that this thing is quite kind of like spontaneously good fun. And I think really in a way, and one day I bought something I didn't really want, I went to get it exchanged, and noticed where the music was coming from. There's this kind of very sad looking man in a kind of cupboard off the side of the customer service desk, and it kind of goes, the Trakās dienas, we go, and with this music, and it just kind of looked so, and it kind of maybe think about the control of the extra security and extra stuff, but I think we didn't really talk enough about all this kind of stuff, the inversion of the shop itself. So Dita goes by tram, I go by bus, but on the bus or the tram, these things kind of start to appear all over the city. There's kind of lots and lots of advertising which appears, and radio advertising. Then we have, I think
bags are the most visible thing. Everyone knows bags of Crazy Days or Trakās dienas in Latvia because it really looks like can I say yellow eruption from the store. When you go there, they're just people coming and they're spreading over the town. And sometimes when you are somewhere I don't know, don't go to the city center and you don't see the Stockmann itself, you will know that there are Trakās dienas going on because of people with the bags. like in other regions of Riga, not only in the city center and outside there, Riga as well. So it's like kind of Stockmann comes outside the store itself, and also by the bags you can see the like which day of the Trakās dienas is there, because some of the people we interviewed, they told that on the first day there are very few bags on the streets, but on the third or the fourth, if there are many people going around carrying these yellow bags, then you know that it's already going to end, and that's kind of time, like the way to measure the time.
I think we probably should have one concluding comment, and I think that in a way, of course, I think we look at it in the Riga context. Stockmann is Finnish, and it kind of arrived into Riga, some dispute over where it built its shop, etc., and this is 12 years. I think really in a way for Latvians it has become something very noticeable, but I think it's also something quite cynical in a way. It's like we can't really go to Finland breeds, or we can't afford to go to Finland breeds because of fortune, and we're very poor in the Baltic states. But the question of this kind of carnivalesqueness, which is used in a kind of cynical way to create excitement. I'm not really quite sure that people are all that excited about the Trakās is. People complain about it and say, they pretend it's cheap, but the stuff just costs the same price as normal. So there's this kind of cynicalness about it. But at the same time, it kind of feels like a kind of cold, empty carnival to me, because it's not a place that you see many smiles, but that seems to have that impression that you should be smiling, because it's like, and I think there's something kind of problematic as well. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. The fact it's called the whole thing of craziness. I'm not quite sure that's very, it's a really politically correct idea, but in a way, what does one do? Every time I complain that it's stopped with something, they never answer back. And it's a place that we often have lots of discussions about it in the economic anthropology course as well. But it's it seems to be one of those things that we kind of really should deal with as a topic, because it just seems so logically. But there's that kind of question in inversion. We couldn't describe it well, but that with a store on the inside, it tries to spread itself around very cynically. So thank you.